Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Ayok, you're welcome to Bluebird
Thank you.
TV. Yeah, our program is simplified into two. We have the Speak Out, and now we have the Bluebird. We have the Bluebird TV, but all of them are Bluebird TV. The only thing is that there are different people managing the two sessions. This session is managed by Dr. Ibe, that's myself, Dr. Abwese, who is the secretary of the MVMA right now, and then Dr. Mime, three of us.
Okay.
You're on board. Dr. Abwese will stream your PowerPoint presentation. And Professor Husina is the moderator. Yeah, Professor Husina is somebody I knew since, maybe she didn't know, I knew in 1986 when we were students. We came for AVMS, that is Association of Veterinary Students conference in Ahmadu Bello University. And by the time we arrived, they had some crisis and she took charge. She became the caretaker for the first time. She became the caretaker chairperson of AVMS Ahmadu Bello University. Then I don't know what happened. When we wanted to query what happened, she said it's a domestic affair and we should leave it as a domestic affair. You can see she was so powerful. She took over 2 weeks before the vet open week and she managed that vet open week creditably. So that was Houston. Now, when I came to serve, actually, she was in the third batch of, then there were 3 batches of NYC then. She was in the third batch. The batch meant for foreign graduates. And then I think she did that service at Mando Road, the College of Agriculture, Mando Road. But what interesting about her, we struck a chord because by the time we arrived Kaduna, we had MVMA Kaduna in moribund shape because somebody who was the chairman refused to leave. And we 2 of us had a meeting. 2 weeks later, after having the meeting, the man's regime becomes a history at Ahmadu Bello University auditorium. And we called for a meeting. We made him to call for a meeting through Professor Husseina, then Dr. Husseina. And when you organized that meeting in Zaria, we arrived Zaria. I personally arrived Zaria for the meeting and moved for the motion because of what do you call it? Expiration of time, effluxion of time. I moved for the dissolution. And Kenneth Jola was the vice president, chairman then. He supported me wholeheartedly. Then that was 1991. And immediately after that, we had to have 3 weeks to attend the national conference in Port Harcourt in 1991. 3 weeks. Well, we sat down that we must go. Over 20 of them arrived Port Harcourt. So they thought that we are having a very strong from the north. We had the strongest team from the north. Myself, herself, Bola Sane, the PRO, who was the CVON that was handed that took over from, I don't remember his name, took over from Joseph Niaga. He was the PRO. Ronke Baja was the treasurer. Dr. Obaja was the vice president. Adeyanju, was vice chairman. Adeyanju we made Adeyanju vice chairman. And as God will, when we arrived Port Harcourt, Mrs. Fabumi imposed 1992 hosting rights on us. I come and see, and then we organized it at Doba. Dabolere, who was the governor of Kaduna State, was the special guest. He came personally. And people thought Kaduna, they didn't know that thing was an ad hoc state. And then in 1997, 2 of us went to Osho conference. And then 2 of us sat down, me and her sat down, and we brought the hosting right of Kaduna 99 to Kaduna. And then anytime Mrs. Lombin was the president then, anytime Kaduna hosts, there's a difference. So that is it. And now, Professor Hussein, and that's all I know about you. You know Ayok, you can. Then Ayok, I met him at Schiphol Airport some time ago. To my chagrin, he brought out his certificate from Barneveld. Distinction. He had to get distinction in Barneveld, in that PTC plus. Distinction in dairy management. From there, he had a stint with IITA. You know, that's what I tell vets. Try to start from the starting point. You can achieve a lot. Don't distract yourself unnecessarily. And since his IITA days as a copper or as whatever, he has been in dairy. Everything about him is dairy. After that, he went to Farm Fresh, and now he's a consultant. He has to discuss a lot on jungle dairy practice. In fact, that's why we brought him here. Maybe one day he will discuss all that type of size of dairy. But this, how he breaks the security walls to be able to get to pick the milk, as much milk as they produce. Not even one. And no gun, no knockout, no pyrotechnic, not even a pyrotechnist will be shot at him. And he comes out alive. These are areas people don't want to go. They don't dare to go. He has his reason of why and how he was able to break those barriers. I think on this note, I hand over to Hussein. Hussein, unmute yourself, put your video, and then we'll move. Thank you very much. And be on standby, Abwese. Anytime he wants the PowerPoint, you fire.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Charles Ibe. I didn't know you have such a dossier on me. I know you've done it better than anyone could have done some of these things. The same we say now, you know, in the fighting spirit is still there. It hasn't changed.
That's okay.
I want to introduce somebody that we have been close in the sense that Dr. Celestine Ayok started his career with the International Livestock Center. Sorry, he said International Livestock Research Institute. Dr. Ayok, I think it was International Livestock Center for Africa. Am I right?
Yes, before it transited to INRI.
At Amman Pateji in Kaduna in those days.
Yes.
Ilka.
Right.
Yes. So we know it as Ilka Kaduna then, but it has now transformed to International Livestock Research Institute because they now co-host with the ILRAD then to form, that's the disease aspect of feed. And he worked there for 7 years. There, I remember most of what we are doing, we are still working with farmers in rural areas. I think that's where he picked it on, because from there, he now moved to manage. He now started being private before he joined Farm Fresh. Am I right?
Yeah.
Very right.
Very right.
So I'm not reading your, because I know you, so I'm reading, I know where I'm taking it from. So he joined Farm Fresh, where he proceeded, like Dr. Charles Ibe had said, to Holland to do a postgraduate diploma in dairy farm management. And like he said, a distinction there is worthy of note. With a distinction in dairy farm management, we don't expect anything less from what he's doing. After leaving Farm Fresh, he started being on his own as chairman and managing director of Novapath Mart Nigeria Limited, where you could see he brings out the proneness he has the passion. What I learned from Dr. Ayok is the fact that anything he puts his hand on, he does it with passion. And you could see that exemplifies him and differentiates him from a lot of people, a lot of other people that are in the field. And it will not surprise us to note that that passion is what has driven him to be a consultant in a lot of international innovations that spread across all the phases of Nigerian livestock system. One of which is he was one of the consultants of DFID. There's a new name for DFID now. Don't ask me to call it, but there's a new, yeah, there's a new name for DFID, but it's a UN United Kingdom innovation or that deals with a lot of other things, amongst which are livestock, almost something similar to the SAID. So there, one of the things he did was fattening livestock. So it's not only dairy that Dr. Ayok is into. He handled the fattening of livestock in that dispensation. Another consultation that he had was to do with the CBA NISA, the innovation in business facilitation of the dairy value chain. I mean, you can't call Dr. Ayok without adding dairy, that I know. So we have known Dr. Ayok to work assiduously in the area of livestock, both in animal health, in reproduction, feedlot system, dairy farm management, and processing, both on-farm and on-station. The difference here is Dr. Ayok is on the field, hands-on. So anybody that is here, we get not the classroom dairy science or dairy production. We are going to get what is happening live on the field. Presently, he's a dairy consultant to the CBI Innovation of Nestle. And what they have done is what we are here to listen to, with improving pastures. We'll talk about that. I know the passion we have together, whereby we feel that the way to go is to improve pastures. There are no two ways about it. So he has participated so much in improved pastures, in Kachia Grazing Reserve, my Kori Grazing Reserve, my home state grazing reserve, Bobby Grazing Reserves. So these are accolades that you cannot shy away from. Currently, he serves as the consultant to Kaduna State Government on its National Livestock Transformation Plan. Dr. Ayok, it's my pleasure to moderate. I hope I will be able to do a good job of that as you take us through your experiences and the knowledges and skills. And some of them may be first-hand because you are first-hand in the field. I want to thank you for sharing your time with us and your knowledge. Thank you very much. Dr. Charles Ibe, thank you once more for setting up this kind of platform that allows knowledge to be shared and indeed to bring a profession and members of the association in one place at a time. It takes a lot. And I know that this is another way from what we used to do, calling people for meetings. At least we can meet now virtually. Thank you very much. Please go ahead, Dr. Ayok.
Well, I'm humbled by this introduction. I'm really humbled. I'm always a practical field person. I believe in walking the talk. and I believe in show by example. Sometimes I say I am tired when they invite me for seminars or workshops. I normally tell them I am tired of seminars and workshops. Let's drill down and start walking the talk. So I'm going to give you just a synopsis. I'm not the theory person or the academic inclined person per se. I'm a practical fields person. And I always tell my team, when you have all your planning and you get to the field, it speaks to you. If you don't listen, that is recipe for failure and recipe for disaster. I like the topic Dr. Ibe did, dairy, the jungle. I'll just give a synopsis of the dairy economics, which all of us know. But the high point of this presentation, it's going to be focusing on what we are presently doing, the Nestle CBI aggregation hub in both Kaduna State and Gwagwalada. As I speak to you, I even came since Tuesday to supervise what we are doing in Gwagwalada after building in a model demonstration farm, a fantastic model demonstration farm. Any of you guys that is in Abuja, I would love for you to go and visit that demonstration farm. It's quite a user-friendly, technology-driven dairy farm. So thank you for the honor to do this presentation. I'm a man of few words. I'm going to hit it directly and then say it. So thank you. So next slide.
Please, please. Please, please. Please, please, please. My God.
Okay. You know, when Dr. Ibe asked me to do this, dairy economics is quite big. It's quite a big topic. But for me, anytime I want to analyze dairy, I'm a development person. I normally use the donut system to analyze the sectoral analysis of the dairy value chain, where you look at the core activities of the dairy value chain that has to do with production, that has to do with aggregation, that has to do with processing, that has to do with marketing, that has to do with consumption. Most often, we normally forget about consumers. Consumers have a typical role to play in backwardly influencing this chain that I've listed. So if you want to look at the dairy ecosystem, you have to include consumers. And then these are the core activities. I now want to look at what are the supporting activities or supporting functions that will augment this core value chain. If you don't have that and know the economics, sometimes you might practice your production, processing, marketing activity well in terms of cost-benefit analysis. But those supporting activities like feeds, like AI, like veterinary care, and those things can erode your profit. So that is why if you are looking at it, you have to look at those people that are supporting what you are doing and the core value chain. I'm not going to be detailed on this. Most of us know the economics of production for both production, economics of production for aggregation, economics of production for processing, for marketing, and then that. So I wouldn't go deep on that. Then one key area again we have to look at in dairy economics is the role, the supporting roles, the rules that will further augment that core value chain activities I've listed. If you don't take cognizance of those rules, I am telling you, even if you are good and doing well in the core value chain of production, aggregation, this thing, that supporting function can finish you. And then rules and regulation can deal with you. Rules and regulation has to do with government policies, which unfortunately is highly inconsistent in our country. You look at cooperative registration, quality standards, sociocultural activity of the main people that are supplying your inputs. Unfortunately, in our situation, you know, is the pastoralists. So you have to drill down and look at the sociocultural activities. And you have to take that, the norms, and you have to look at the security situation, the conflict, and sometimes sudden government interventions that can disrupt the dairy economics of your core value chain. So honestly, all these things, you have to look at it. I'm just looking at the production aspect. I don't want to go too deep on that because the jungle is where we're going to get practical knowledge on what we are doing. We're looking at productivity enhancement component. I've said it all. The breed, the feed conversion ratio, feed conversion efficiency. When I tell people about feed conversion efficiency, I say there are two things I look at. What is the animal conversion efficiency? That is one. And what is the feed conversion efficiency of that feed component? So you have to look at those factors if you want to have a positive dairy economy. As I said, most of these things, you know it. I'm not going to go to details. But now, let's not go to the production aspect. No, I think we need to just go through this. The dairy economies. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we are hearing. Yes.
Okay. The dairy economies, you know, what I tell people in dairy as a business, and please get it right, it is the cost per liter that is important. And this cost per liter, you have to divide it into two. What is the feed cost per liter, and what is the aggregated cost per liter for that animal? Okay? I know we normally say, I want my animals to be producing plenty milk. I want animals to produce a lot of milk, but that is not it. Okay? I normally have a say. This is just for our own practical knowledge when you drill down. I better keep a local animal that is giving me 5 liters, and I'm spending barely maybe 200 naira or 300 naira to feed her, than to keep an animal that is giving me 10 liters, and I'm spending close to about 3, 4, 5,000 to manage that animal. So if you look at cost per liter, it's better I keep that animal that is giving me 5 liters. Okay? Because if I'm selling that liter of milk to whoever is taking, I'm making good margin. So let's take cognizance of that. Okay? So, but the good thing about exotic animals and our local animals, the cost per liter of exotic animals is wide because they have better animal trait conversion efficiency, and you know they have been genetically prone to really utilize nutrient and get maximum output from that nutrient, which
Yeah, you're breaking a bit. You're breaking a bit, Ayok. So
can you hear me now?
Yeah, we are hearing you. Yes.
Okay, let me just off my video. Okay, so it's better for me to keep an animal, as I said, if I can get an exotic animal, a crossbreed animal, what do I do to increase the margin cost per liter? That translates to productivity. Okay, so these are some of the things I'm going to say. But as I said in this presentation, I'm just going to focus on what I am doing in the field. All these other dairy economic indicators, all of us know it. It has to do with the production, the farm gate, the management cost per cow per day, and the feed cost per liter of milk. These indicators are very important if you want to be successful in dairy economics. Because if you miss this area, the transfer cost to the processing department is going to be quite high. And if the transfer cost to the processing department is high, or because I'm a processor, I have a yogurt company that I've been producing yogurt, spring yogurt for the past, since 2015. So I know what I'm saying. Because ultimately, if the cost per liter in the production aspect is high, I'm going to push that cost to the processor at a higher price. That processor too will now push that cost to the marketer, and ultimately it will affect the consumer. So how efficient you manage your production segment will affect the entire dairy ecosystem, because that will determine your retail pricing of finished good, and the consumer factor plays a role, as I said, when I talk of dairy indicators. The consumer factor will determine where you are going to focus in processing. Just don't because people say, we like this, we love this. No, drill down and see what is it the consumer wants. Is it drinking yogurt? Is it set yogurt? Is it stirred yogurt? Is it Greek yogurt? Is it butter? Is it cheese? Is it cream? And you do your profitability analysis. Which one will I produce to get higher margin? So these all indicators will create sustainability in your business. But as I said, I don't want to, if I go too details on this aspect, because it's what I'm doing, it's what I'm practicing, we might not live here on time. Next slide, please. I have said what you need to do to enhance efficiency in your production, to ensure you get good margin per liter of your milk. So productivity is key. As I said, in managing the production segment, always ensure close to about 70 to 80% of your dry cows are pregnant. Because if you're managing dairy herd, you have a lot of female animals there. Okay, we don't bother about the bulls. Okay, you have the heifers, you have young heifers, you have growers heifers, you have matured heifers, you have dry animals, you have pregnant animals, you have in the pregnant animals we have the dry ones, the ones that have advanced in pregnancy. Ensure always your dry cows, about 70% in the herd, are pregnant. If not, you end up waking up one day, your milk production goes down. So you need to plan your insemination or breeding period to ensure at any point in time when you have dry cows, 70% of them should be pregnant. If you have a dry cow that is about less than 50% that are pregnant, it will hit you in your balance sheet, I can assure you, because you are feeding those females and they are not going to lactate soon. So you need to have that better management plan, okay? The breed adaptability is key to your environment. If you are living in Sokoto, you don't go and bring animals that are susceptible to hot weather, no matter the quality of feed, because genetics plays barely maybe 30 to 32% of the output of that animal. The other things is feeding and management and environment. Okay, so if you look at the contributing factor of feeding, environment, weather, is close to about 65, 70%. So selecting a good breed that will be adaptable to where that environment is one positive point. Call and sell non-productive cows. Okay, if you have a cow that is giving you, in normal dairy practices, if you have an exotic animal that is giving you 4 liters, she's barely feeding herself. She's barely feeding herself. So cows like that, I don't advise you to keep it. Animals that have 2 of their teeth, chronic case of mastitis, 2 or 3 of the teeth is gone, you better call them. Animals that have gone into 6, 7 lactation, you better call them, because their feed conversion efficiency has drastically reduced. They will eat, the normal thing is a protein content of about 180 grams or 170 grams. Okay, you feed an animal with that per kilogram dry matter, it will give you about 2 liters. 1 kilogram of that concentrate can give you 2 liters. If you use it on an old unproductive cow, that 1 kilogram might end up giving you 0.5 liters. So you are losing. You are spending money feeding her. So for me, call her. No sentiments attached. Okay, so that's what I mean. If you want to call, sometimes you can fatten it for a month, give it high energy diet, and then fatten it, and you make good money. And the good with some of these non-productive cows, especially if it's F1 and this thing, they make good quality steak. Okay, I have said about concentrate segment feeding. To whom much is given, much is desire. I see people feeding their concentrate blanketly. All lactating animals are the same. Please separate them. Those that are giving more milk, you separate. So normally, we have high, medium, and low. So all this I'm doing is to create efficiency so that your cost per liter will be high in the production aspect. You make more money, okay? I've spoken about the forage component. We all know sometimes grow your own forage is as advantageous to you. If you grow your own forage, the cost of the basal feed is going to be cheap. And for me, what I tell people, before I start giving concentrate, I'll try to give good quality forage and see the maximum amount of milk from 1 or 2 animals that forage can give me. If you have a good quality forage that can give you 3, 4, I'm not talking of exotic animals now. I'm talking of local animals that can give you 3, 4 liters of milk. then select those type of animals because they have better feed conversion efficiency. And for exotic animals, if you have like good quality silage that you can push and get 7-8 liters, it's quite good for you because fodder is cheaper than concentrate. So you just need to augment with little concentrate and make good money. Okay, what I'm just saying here is how to enhance efficiency. Okay, if you have good quality feed, you have good quality healthcare, and you don't know how to enhance efficiency in your herd management plan, you are going to lose. Okay, I've said about crop residue utilization. Our scientists here, Dr. Osana and you've done a lot of work on that. Okay, and then where possible, if you are starting forage operation, please go and lease equipment so that it can not affect your bottom line when you are calculating your depreciation at the end of the year to look at the cost analysis. So I'm just giving you just some of the things that can help you to enhance efficiency so that at the end in the production segment, your cost per liter, the margin will be good for you. I think for me, this is just, as I said, I'm not going to focus more on this component. The real thing that the jungle, what we've experienced in the jungle, how we penetrate the jungle is the next slide. Thank you. Next slide, please, if you can hear me.
Abose, next slide.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, he should hear you. Abose, next slide. Is there.
Aha. This is the jungle. This is the real thing we want to discuss. Okay. In this project, I think this project started in 2021. They were barely doing 300 to 500 liters aggregation. This project came up due to the backward integration drive of the CBN that asked most of these multinationals to see how they can do import substitution to assess forex for their activity and come up with a plan on how you can now use 5 to 10% of your input, how you can source it from the local structure. So we came up with this project. It is called Nestle Nigerian Livestock Development Project. A fantastic project. Okay, so now the good thing about the Kachia Grazing Reserve, it wasn't difficult for me to penetrate because I've been working with them since when I was in Farm Fresh. We did a lot of corporate social responsibilities where we give them F1 and Frisian bulls to cross with their animals. So it wasn't a problem penetrating that place. But before I go into that, the main focus of the National Livestock Development Plan was hinged on 3 pillars. The number 1 pillar is good quality milk sourcing. Number 2 pillar is good quality feeds fodder. And then the last pillar is thriving community. These are the 3 pillars where that project is hinged. Now, we now came to, as I said, Ladoga, which is Kachia Grazing Reserve in Kaduna, penetrating that place was not an issue. But in Gwagwalada, Pekonkore Grazing Reserve, penetrating that place was an issue because there was strife between the community and the pastoralists in that community. So how did we penetrate? In conjunction with the FCT, we now came up with an advocacy and we now said, okay, we're going to do training for you people. And during the training, we now drill down to get to know what are their needs, what do they want. What came out from that meeting is they want water, they need boreholes, they need a health problem, they have health challenges. Okay, so we noticed these things were peculiar in most areas, but this one, they say this is what they need. So we now came up with an activity, we call it no regret activity. We now, after the training, we now sensitize them. We now came in to earn their trust because after the training, we told them what we have gotten from you, give us a month, we're going to ensure we implement that. That was confidence building. So we now went in, bought soil leak for them, a lot of animals. I think I saw some of my team members here. I think we ended up vaccinating and treating close to about 5,000 animals. Communities that were not willing to even talk to us when they heard about this vaccination, we went to the extent of even vaccinating against FMD. We now did CBP, FMD. We bought drugs for them, a lot of activity in conjunction with the veterinary department. When we did that, they now said, these guys, that has never happened. So that first wall that we got was broken. But there was strife within the community, the Gwari community, because they are together. So we also crafted an intervention where we now say, okay, for the Gwari community, when we did the need assessment, what they just need is input for their maize production. So we decided to give them inputs for production, trainings, monitoring and evaluation, seeds, herbicides, fertilizer, enough for them to plant a quarter of a hectare. And we selected about 100 youths and did that. So what did we do? We were fair. We did for the community, we did to the pastoralists. That started creating a harmony. That strife that used to be there, we broke it, because most intervention that comes normally goes only to the pastoralist community. They don't look at their own side. So when we did that, they now took us serious. And henceforth, they now opened their minds and allowed us to penetrate. So we now came up with a very, very fantastic model that is self-sustaining. We created one of the novel technology that has never been brought into this country till today. We brought in milk can coolers from India. Those milk can coolers, but before we get to that side, let me tell you what we did. Now, when we get to a community, I'm talking of the implementation stage now. We've already broken the wall by getting their buy-in. Let me tell you one thing I have noticed with these pastoralists or these smallholder farmers. I'm telling you, if you earn their trust, they are one of the most easiest people to manipulate. Not necessarily, let me not use that manipulate. Anywhere you go, they will follow you without asking questions. But they need to earn your trust. When you promise, you should do it. Okay? So they saw that in our activity in conjunction with Ministry of FCT. So we now went round, did a mapping of clusters within Kaduna and FC, and now say, look, we want to find a place, a cluster community where we can get a minimum of 150 liters of milk in that community. So we now said, okay, look, let's reduce our bar. Let's start with 100. So if we can get 100 liters within maybe 0.5 to 1 or 2 kilometer radius in that community, we now say, oh, okay, this community can give us 100 liters, 150 from beginning. So what do? We now call a meeting with that cluster community, those households. A cluster community involves a lot of households, and most of these households are interrelated. We now sit down with them and say, please, can you give us one of your trusted sons? One or two of your trusted sons. They now select. But before then, we taught them about cooperative dynamics. So we built up their skills on cooperative. Some of the active cooperative, we strengthened it. Some of the dormant or passive cooperative, we reactivated it. Help them in the registration process. So when we get there, you give us one of your sons. You serve as a guarantor to that your son, the cooperatives. We now take that son that stays with you. We now train him on basic milk collection. We train him on organoleptic test. We train him on lactodensity test to test for milk adulteration, either with water or total solids or kanwa, because sometimes they can hype it so that you can see the density goes up. So we train him on how to use lactodensimeter, and then the alcohol gun, the alcohol training. We didn't without using the gun. We just use a syringe and needle where you use 70% alcohol. We used to start with 68, but because we were never having issue with 68, we took it to 70. We are not even having issue with 70. We're trying for now to take it to 72 because the quality of milk getting is quite good. So we train that youth and then buy a motorbike and give him that motorbike as a loan, which is going to pay within 1.5 years. And then the chance you see under your picture belongs to us, the project. So we give you this chance. And then early morning, since you sleep in your community, you now move around your community. You do all the necessary testing, collect good quality milk from parents, your brothers, your uncles, and pay them. Because we wanted, that is the thriving community, the livelihood enhancement. We pay them immediately or the next day. We don't wait. Are you hearing me, please?
We are hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Excellent presentation.
Excellent. We're hearing you.
Thank you. Okay, so you do that within your community. Once you do that within your community, we now ask you to bring that milk to a milk collection point or milk cooling center. Go to the next slide. Let me show you the model.
What's the next slide?
Great. Okay, so you can see the model. So the guy with the motorbike goes, collect this milk, and bring it to a milk collection point. This milk collection point has a milk can cooler. It's a novel technology. We're the first to introduce it into Nigeria, and up to now, nobody has introduced it. That was our no-brainer that helped us achieve that scale. This milk cooler box, it's a big box that is solar refrigerated that has chilled water in it with about 8 to 10 40-liter cans, either stainless or aluminum. So what we try to do is to capture the milk within less than 2 hours interval if your community is quite far from the milk bulking center. So you now, if you are closer, you can bring the milk directly to the bulking center. You can see bulking center. But if you are not closer, we ask you to take that milk to the milk collection point where there's somebody there, Fulani staff, trained, that will now do the basic test from you. You've done your test with your parents, paid them. So when you bring this milk again, we'll do our own test. If it passes, we pour it into those cans and store it. This milk collection point, we have 10 of them spread all over. In a difficult, harder to reach areas, solar driven 100%. And it can store milk for 12, 13, 14 hours. Immediately you put milk there, it will reduce the temperature of that milk to about 5 degrees centigrade within 2.5 hours. Okay? So they now bring that milk to those centers and we pay them a range of 80 to 100 naira per liter if it passes. It used to be less, but you know, with inflation, we have to increase it. So now, from this collection point, now later in the evening, the motor aggregators, if that point is close to the bulking center, they now pick that milk that has been chilled and bring it. So what am I trying to achieve? I can assure you we have one of the best quality milk we collected from the pastoralists because we've done different tests where you see a total plate count of about 100, about 50, 60,000. This is what you obtain sometimes in Europe. Because the earlier you reduce the lactase, you know, there is log and lactase in milk production. Once after 2-3 hours, it enters the phase where you have multiple, but we arrest it within a short period at the milk collection point. and then you now bring this milk to the bulking center. So what we do is sometimes we'll send our van to go and evacuate all this milk and now bring it to the bulking center. This bulking center too is a novel technology by Nestle CBI. They are hybrid tanks. They work on solar. If the solar energy goes down, automatically it switches to battery, the inverter. If the battery goes down, it sends an alarm to you to start the generator. Sometimes you can spend 1 week without running the generator. We only quite often use the generator during the rainy season. And you know the interesting thing about this technology, when they were developing it, because as I said, I studied dairy milk production and milk processing and equipment. So when they were developing this technology, the Serap company in France, their company in India, I had an interaction with the engineers. I said, please, we have serious issue of electricity short here. Can you make these compressors single phase, not double phase? Dr. Ayok, we've never tried it before. I said, okay, can you do a simulation model? Even if it doesn't work, we don't mind paying. What am I saying? All our compressors are single phase. With a 3.5 kVA generator, you can run it. You don't need a big generator to run this 3,000 hybrid solar. So what have we done? Instead of buying a big diesel generator, 10, 20 kVA, we just use a small 4.5 kVA generator to power this. Once the solar energy goes down, novel technology. And when they did it with our own, they waited after a year to get a feedback whether we had issues. There is no issue. That company now, Sarah, they've adopted that technology now in servicing West and Central African market.
This is great.
Because of this 3 or 4 phase issue. Am I communicating?
Yes, yes.
Excellently.
Okay. So now, when we aggregate this milk, but let me tell you the sustainability factor. I wouldn't go into details on that. I'll go into details, but maybe a bit sketchy. I can tell you one thing. From the beginning of this program, because I go to seminars, what do we do to rural economy to reduce urban drought? Since we started this project, the total money we have paid to both the pastoralists and the milk collection is over 300 million gone to that community. Those boys in that community, if they hear anything informal, they will decisively deal with that informal. What? Because we have increased the rural economy. It is circulating within them. Their mothers are happy. The children are happy. You can see increase in livelihood in that community. I tell you, look, if you get to that community, you feel happy. You walk free. Because in the value chain, everybody makes money. Their parents make money. These boys make money. Some of these boys with motorbikes, every month we set aside some money. Out of the 35 motorbikes we had given, 25 of these youths have paid the motorbikes. 25. Sometimes at the end of the month, because I signed their commission fee, you see some of these boys, the highest I think I have paid is about 350,000 in a month. What he does, because he has seen the value of making 80 or 100 naira per liter that passes, he goes and hire motorbikes and asks us to give him more chance. So you see some of them, like if you look at that picture, you can see a lot of chance. You see some of them coming in with about 200 liters of milk. You can see. He might have additional boys that he hired their motorcycle because we gave him just one motorcycle. So at the end, you see him earning about 300, 320,000, 150,000 is common Because if you give me 100 liters, 100 liters times 80, okay, then times, let's even say 27 days. This is what this chap makes monthly. So if you tell him about a kidnapping, banditry, he will look. You know what they normally say? When you express it in Hausa, it's so sweet. I bar my son when they are one project. We don't want anything to interfere in this project because we have benefited. Our children will benefit.
Good.
If they hear any speech or any nonsense, they tackle it. Look, in Ladoga axis, when it came up, they took the drastic step and stopped it. In Ladoga, they call me Ardo Ayok. You know, for a Fulani man to call you Ardo Ayok. They say, over their dead body, will anybody touch my team in Ladoga? Over their dead body. Why? I have created financial inclusion. I've created financial benefit. My word is my honor. They've gained confidence. Okay? So, I normally deduct 40,000 every month from these boys. So, when they pay this motorbike, we now revolve that money and then buy another motorbike and then ask you, select somebody again, either your brother or your this thing, and then give him that old motorbike that you paid. You now start using the new one. What am I trying to do? I am creating wealth within that family. So if you create wealth within microcosm family spread all over, there is financial buoyancy in that community. When two-scale people, the white people came and were interviewing some of them. It's funny, but the women said, look, the strife that used to exist between them and their husbands has stopped because there's more money now. They take time to do to feed their husband good feed. And I cracked a joke. I said, and look, even one old woman said, even in the night now, everybody is happy. You understand what I'm saying? I now crack a joke. I say, I hope we won't have multiple battles. You know, they laugh. Say, no, Dr. Ayok. What am I saying? The dressing of those women have changed. Their houses, some that have thatched roof have changed. Some that used to cannot even plant a quarter of a hectare or even plant, they can now plant 1 hectare, 2 hectares. Some have sent their children to school. Some have, since we've created that displacement, they are not hawking milk now. Some of them are doing other things. FCT introduced local poultry, goatry. Some of them are doing tailoring. Look, it has diversified their income streams. They go into other things, those women. Because of the displacement, this intervention has created, but it's a positive displacement because they don't go to hawk for milk again. And what one of the adults said, you don't know what you have done in this project, Dr. Ayok, and your team. God will bless you. I can see some of my team members there, Edwin and Jonah. Say, look, we used to be suspicious about our women when they go for hawking because men follow them. But now we have confidence that nothing is happening. So when they go out, it has boosted their self-esteem. If you hear the side story that is coming because of this project, you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. Because sometimes I crack jokes. I said, I hope the men are not demanding more money from you now because you're making, so can you, Dr. Ayok? You know, I said, oh, now that the men are jealous of you because you are not going for hawking and you are sitting at home not doing anything, in the morning they'll come and pay you. If you produce 20 liters, you get close to about 1,000 naira or something like that. You know, since now the men have seen more money. Are they not putting eyes? Say, the men are putting eyes, so with the men, but we normally stand on our toes. What am I saying? Financial rural economy is a no-brainer in reducing strife, in reducing banditry, in reducing a lot. And what I did for those bikers, at a point, when we started, I'll still come down, please. You know, I love saying it. I have passion in what I do, as Dr. Hussein has said. At a point when the price of milk went up, when the price of petrol went up, I'll do it in two segments. Let me start from the women's side. When things became tough, they said, we need to increase our price of milk. So I'm coming to pay so price. I even had a meeting with them last Thursday, I think. I say, yeah, some people will come and give you 15 naira more than what we are giving you. But we have sunk 19 boreholes in those two communities, solar-driven boreholes, spending over 6 million to sink one borehole. And when we sank that borehole, there's a watering trough dedicated for livestock, 2 watering troughs. Those animals, when it's 12:01, they don't go to the stream. They come to that watering point to drink animals. It just tells you animals do know good things. You will see, they want to force them to go to the stream. They don't mind, no matter how far that watering point is. Honestly, you can see the lead cow will just turn its head and start moving. And when the lead cow goes, the herder, you don't have a choice because you can't stop the others from following. They always rush to go and take clean water from that watering, drinking trough that we did for the animals. Then aside from that drinking trough, we now extended some pipes and we now had a watering point for the community. That has reduced diseases. That has reduced a lot of things. So we did that. We planted pasture. I've done a lot of trials on pasture as I've worked with Ilka Ilri. We focused on brachiaria. We focused on Chloris gaianus, and then we focused on Stylosantis. The Napier grass that people are hyping about it was during DFID. We call it banner grass, the hybrid grass between Penicetum paperum and Penicetum americanum. We smuggled that grass when we went to Kenya, me and Dr. Murtala, smuggled it into our hand luggage and propagated it in large scale. When you hear Napier grass, we brought that grass in 2013, 2014 into this country. It's an amazing grass. But what I tell them, please, when it's about 1 meter, 1 something meter, cut it. If you allow it to grow, it attracts snakes. And if it grows, the nutritive content is reduced. So we introduced the homestead Napier grass, where you can plant the Napier grass within your homestead. So then I tell them, plant it at the back of your bathroom, so that when you bath, the water goes there. So 365 days, you go and be cutting, okay? When you bath, sometimes you urine, that urine is there, manure is there, okay? So you go and cut and come and feed your animals. We introduced that. So that component of pasture we have done. We build their capacity on feeds and feeding, reproductive management. 2Scale came and did artificial insemination because we're in partnership with 2Scale, IFDC, did artificial insemination. Always from time to time, we train them. We do referential training. We do what we call know your customers, the way the banks does KYC, where we go to the smallholder farmers, ask them, I hope this your children are not disappointing you. Sometimes the children play funny. They will say we've not given them money. We'll tell them it's a lie. Any milk they collect, insist they pay. You know, it's usual because the youth are the one playing the aggregators role. They want to play smart. Okay? So there's constant communication between the team and everybody. And there's what gave them confidence was the transactional transparency in the system. When the women wanted to increase their milk price beyond any level, we now brought the books and said, okay, we collect milk at X price. The aggregator, this is what, come and see how much we sell to the off-taker. Get any of your boy that is educated. They now say, people are not making more, we are even making more profit than you. I say, yes, this project is more of a social investment project by Nestle and CBI. So the high point is, look at it. So you want to increase it. If you increase it, that means the Nestle CBI, the little margin they are making is not even enough to pay salaries. You are eroding it. They will not say, okay, no, we are not going to increase our price. You can see how you can convince a pastoralist woman that wants to increase her price. But what am I saying? We brought them additional benefits. We do vaccination campaigns for them free of charge. We have two resident vet doctors. When they have issues, we have them to give money so that we buy good quality drugs and go and treat their animals. So we said these are the additional benefits we give to you. Okay, we give you borehole, there's pasture, there's training, there's vet doctor service. You just pay for the drugs. So just because somebody comes and add a little fee, they said, Doctor, we are sorry, please. That is the first stage. It's not easy. Then the second, those boys, those aggregators, they now say, Dr. Ayok, when we started this thing on your team, the price of petrol was 190, 200. Now the price of petrol is about 600. You have to increase our commission. You are giving us 30 naira, 50 naira per liter. Now we want 150. I said, okay. I agree. I'm going to give you 150 naira. But these motorbikes, they know because we have to put trackers for security reasons. Once you finish supplying milk, you come and drop this motorbike because we'll shut that motorbike. You won't do achaba because I gave you leverage to do achaba. So by 12 o'clock, once you are finished, though, I'm going to shut down those motorbikes and you can't use it for achaba. No, leave it. Okay, don't bother about increasing the price. That means it's a motorbike. So when I say the steel speaks, if you don't listen, you fail. This is not theory. It's what you learn in the field. You take corrective measures to move on to create sustainability. Okay? So some of them want to play a fast one. They want to bring money from outside to pay for the motorbike on time so that they can now own that motorbike. I said, no, you have to pay from the milk. I'm not collecting any milk. You want to rush to pay the motorbike in 1 year and then you say I won't hold you. I said, no, you have to pay with the milk. If you bring any money from outside, I'm not going to collect. And when they were misbehaving, sometimes I now said, okay, instead of you paying me 50,000 naira monthly, I'm going to reduce it to 30,000. What am I trying to do? I've indirectly tied their contract for them to last 1.5 years, 2 years, still serving me. This is not theory. It's the field that spoke to me. We had to now sit down and craft a better solution so that motorbike, it will still be serving me. Because if they pay it within a short time, and some of them were rushing to pay because they know I'll give them another one. All those techniques, they came. So I stopped now. We noticed some that paid, instead of giving it to their brothers, they sold the old one. We now said, okay, so the next strategy now, what do we do? If you finish paying within 18 months or 20 months, the one we are going to replace, we're not going to give it to you. We'll look for another person in that community, train him, and give him that motorbike. So that they don't reduce the people that are bringing milk to us. Because some of them, when they finish paying, they left. Okay? So, but what we try to do now, we've adjusted, we tie down the contract, reduce the payment to spread over 20 to 22 months. At that, you have served us well, okay? And we'll put some, before we are not putting some margin because the cost of those motorbike replacement cost has gone up. So we now put 10 or 15% margin so that when we are replacing it, it will be a tight situation for us. So now the milk comes to the aggregation center. We have to invest in an insulated tanker, a 5,000 liter tanker, because we supply most of the major milk producers within Kaduna. We even supply Jos, 4,000, 3,000 liters. The tanker does the transportation, okay? We supply that milk to those people at a margin, not a killing margin, it's not even enough to drive this aggregation hub. Okay, so normally I think average is between 657. If we are transporting, you pay about 700. If you are off taking, so if you are off taking, you bring with your vehicle to come and collect, you pay about 650. Okay, so What am I saying? At the topper layer of the smallholder farmer, he makes money. The women, they are happy. The greatest beneficiary is those youths that will create problems. They are happy, and they are spreading their wealth. They are the ones that would need any insecurity that comes. There is no insecurity. Go and ask in those two places where I operate. Top areas. 99.9% pastoralist enclave. We've never had one single incident on our people. We thank the grace of God and the financial rural inclusion we've created in that community, where there is transactional transparency. We don't hide anything. They are happy. When there are debts, we visit. When there's installation of Hakimi, we visit, we contribute. We are part and parcel of them. So sometimes if they have an inclination of any security, they say, tell your boys not to go to that community, doctor. We are sensing something might happen. Why will they do that? And you know the interesting thing? And I tell people, majority of us that are driving, I think it's 50% Christian, 50% Muslim. Relationship, money has broken that barrier. They don't care. No sentiments at all. What is making them happy? It's they get their money hands-on. No, nothing. Anytime I want to go there, sometimes they are saying, Doctor, you will not come this week. What is happening? They are eager for you to come. They are eager for our boys to come. Because of what? Because they have seen inclusivity. They have seen sincerity of purpose. A lot of people have come and studied this, our model. It's a self-sustaining model because everybody makes money. Empowering model. These aggregators are now employer of labor. How can you think a Fulani man can be an employer of labor? Employing people to come with their bike, because we gave you just one bike. Okay? So he will come with people with more milk because he wants to make more money. He will be the one that will pay those people at the end. They don't know what I give him per liter of milk. Okay? But you know, it's a volume-driven business. If you bring 300 liters with the 2 or 3 people hired, and I pay him 300 times 80, I don't know what that cost is, and he removes 500 and give them for that day, they are happy.
About 720.
They see him as king. They see him as king. They respect him. He said, Dr. Ayok, what you guys have done, you've increased our self-esteem as youths in that community. People respect us now. I tell you, no wonder the white man said cash is king. It is king indeed, oh, it is king. I have seen it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then the off-taker too, they are dependent on us. I don't want to mention the bigger companies, Kaduna, Abuja, Zaria, Kano. They collect milk from this project. They say, Doctor, you guys can't afford to stop this project because it's going to affect us. Seriously. I tell you, as I told you, I'm a processor. And you know the good thing? Because of conflict of interest, I said they should not supply my processing company. I have a processing company in Kaduna. So Nestle is not supplying my processing company because of conflict of interest. So you can see the transparency. Okay? There's no say, okay, let me, then, no. And that's why even the Nestle and CBIT, they respect me for that. So what am I saying? The employment generation in this small model is awesome. Look, I don't want, it's awesome. Some federal government people have come to study the model. A lot of people, this model, you can imagine replicating it all over with this chiller box technology. Had to reach community, just go and drop that chiller box. Link them up to one off-taker. Look, it's doable if you want to do it. And I tell people, the amount of milk we have in Kaduna, in Nigeria, if you can aggregate it, this 600 and something million that are saying per annum will get to about 1 point something million per annum. I'm not joking. The milk is there. But how do you ensure, because the weakest link in the dairy value chain is disaggregation. We've set an example. We've created a model. It's doable. It's been working for 2 years plus now, still going on. I don't need to be there. The thing works itself because everybody makes money in the chain. And that is the sustainability component. The processor is happy. The retailer and distributors are happy. The consumer are happy because any product, dairy product you produce with milk, don't forget most of the milk that are hovering around, some of the yogurt, there is vegetable fat production because they can't afford to buy full cream whole milk. It's quite expensive. Okay? So, and sometimes when I get to these processors, they say, Dr. Ayok, this price you are giving is too high. We normally buy powdered milk. I don't know if somebody has a calculator there, please, it can help me. Let me do some arithmetic that a lot of processors normally overlook. They say, we can buy powdered milk at 150. At a point, it got to about 200,000. Fat filled powdered milk now, I think it's about 150, 160,000 per 25 kilogram bag. So please divide 150 by 25 kilograms. What did we get?
6,000.
Pardon?
6,000. 6,000.
6,000 per 1 kilogram. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Now, if you want to do yogurt, this 1 kilogram, you now dissolve it with 9 liters of water to get 10 liters of yogurt. So, in essence, if you divide it by 10, that means 1 liter will be what? 600 naira. Am I correct?
Correct.
So I told processors, what you are calculating is the direct cost. Why are you not costing the 9 liters of water that you are adding? I'm giving you this milk at 600 and 650. You are not adding anything. It's because we take water for granted. So even if you cost that 9 liters of water at 20 naira per liter, I got to understand that even the pure water now, that is not up to a liter, is more than 50 naira. So let's even use, for the purpose of this discussion, please, let's say a liter of water is 9 liters. So 9 liters of water is 20 naira. So 9 times 20 is what?
That give you 180.
180. So add 600 plus 180. That is the cost per liter of that vegetable powder milk dilution you are doing.
780.
Full cream. If you want to buy full cream is almost 200,000 now, or 220,000. So let's do the costing for full cream. 2,200 by 25, please. Sorry, 22,000.
Yes.
By 25 kg. Sorry, 220,000. Full cream powder milk. People hardly bring it because it's expensive. 220,000 by 25. What did you get, please?
8,800, sir.
So 8,800 divided by, for you to, that 1 kilogram, for you to get 10 liters of yogurt, okay? You divide it by 10, it gives you 800 per liter.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Then you add 180, the 9 liters of water that you are adding. It gives you
1,060 naira.
naira. And I'm giving
1,060 naira.
Thank you. About 980, almost 1,000. And I'm giving you this thing at 650, 700. You are shouting. Okay, Dr. Ayok, we didn't know. I say it's because it don't cost water. Just because you have borehole, you are getting that water free. There's cost of maintenance of that borehole. Sometimes that borehole break down. And if that borehole breaks down, you can't produce. But with fresh milk, you can produce. Because everything is there. It is richer. Every constituent of milk is there. So when they see that, because they forget to cost water, they just assume water is water. And we normally say that's an opportunity cost. You are not having a realistic costing in your variable cost. If I want to go back to how I started. Okay? So these are some of the compelling factors in this chain. When people say powdered milk is, the fat filled powdered milk is cheaper than the milk they get from the Fulanis, I say it's a lie. It's a lie. Please stop sending that narrative. It's not correct. You don't cost water. If you cost water, we're even being conservative here by even using 20 naira. Okay, so please stop telling us that narration. It's not correct. So I think in a nutshell, this system is working. Dr. Ayok and his team does not need to be there because everybody is happy. Everybody makes money. It's self-sustaining. We're environmental friendly. We teach them skills. Recently, we have introduced biogas where they can use it as a source of cooking. Okay, so a lot of novel activity is taking place. We're adding technology, but the high point of overall of this discussion, which is what I will use in closing, as I said, we built a demonstration, user-friendly, adaptable farm where we brought in Jersey cows. We imported Jersey cows. I import livestock as a business anyway from South Africa. So we brought in Jersey cows. They are there now. Those Jersey cows, we did the costing for them. It cost me, I now bring them, they see the cows, they say, doctor, this animal gives, because I told you, they believe in show and tell. If you do show and tell, they see it, they buy it. Forget about any long story. They now saw that, look, during rainy season now, sorry, I keep on talking. During rainy season, no, go back, please. During rainy season, they get about 2.2 to 3 liters per liter from the animal, but they don't feed anything. It's the pasture, because pasture is free. So when they do that costing, they see, one animal is giving them about 1,000 naira, so they're happy. So I now brought them to this dairy farm. I spent about 1,500 to 2,000 to feed that dairy farm, that Jersey. And that Jersey is giving me about 10 to 12 liters. So when I did the profitability analysis, I said from your local cow, you are making maybe just 500 or 600. But from this exotic cow now here, I'm making over 2,000 per feed cost, because I'm spending about 1,500 and she's giving me 12 liters. 12 liters times 400 or 450. This is what I'm making, and this is what I'm feeding her. Your own is giving you 2 liters or 2.5. You are not spending anything. Do the cost. Which one? So this Jessica is giving me 4 or 5 times what animal is giving. That is the essence of that demonstration farm, to show them best practices, to show them how some of these animals, you don't need to keep numbers. You can afford to keep small numbers for hereditary sake. But for money making, please start shifting towards F1 and this. I'm not stopping you from keeping the others, because it's a source of culture. You can't break it. Don't interfere with it too much. If you interfere with it, they reject. They won't accept it. So the demo farm is there. It's a demonstration farm. It's doing well. Anybody within Abuja that wants to go and see, that wants to copy and build from beginning, inception, everything, the design, everything came from me and my team. Next slide, so that I will round up. It's just the dairy medicine that, the good thing that most of us here are dead doctors, but I'll just say a little bit. I've said a lot about the downstream. This is the processing aspect. I've said a lot about it. If you are producing, as a yogurt producer, you have to ensure anytime you're sending something to your factory, you should ensure 72, because dairy is volume driven. And that is why sometimes I say, if you don't have enough fresh milk combined with powder, I taught them how you do the combination, okay? 88% is milk. So if you're doing your powder combination, ensure you use 12% powder to mimic the, and most of the powder milk you even get in the market is fat filled. They've removed the cream and added vegetable fat. If you test the yogurt that comes from fresh milk, I tell you, when you go overseas, you always love that yogurt. Sometimes you say, why is the yogurt different? That is the reason. They've removed the fat and then added vegetable fat, and to test one kind. But full cream with the raw milk you produce, you have advantage. With the raw milk, you can't do cheese with powdered milk. You can do cheese. You can do cheese with fresh milk that we source locally. You can't do butter with powdered milk. You can do butter with the fresh milk we source locally. You can't do ghee with powdered milk. You can do ghee with fresh. So if in terms of the ripple effect of trying to harness the potential of our local milk is awesome. So these are some of the things I said. If you are in that business of processing, go and read it, because I'm in it. How you can manage your production costs and maximize your profit margin. Okay, so let's I don't want to waste time here. I've said a lot on the breaking that jungle. It's breakable. That jungle is breakable. I broke it in 2 locations, 2 hard to reach locations. So what?
Yeah, he's Ayok, you are breaking. Yeah.
Okay.
Ayok,
Well, Jerry,
yeah, you can. Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes,
You are
sir.
back.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hello.
I can hear
Yes.
you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Very
Okay.
well.
So what I'm saying is that jungle, that economic activity, trust, confidence, have broken that jungle. It is breakable. We can break it. Okay. And those communities will protect you to the last of their breath, because they know if anything happens, the amount of money they are going to lose that have been circulating with that rural community is awesome. And they wouldn't want. I've told you over 300 million have gone into those rural communities. Cash. And we created a financial inclusion during COVID and during this scarcity of MFLA. We had to force them because we don't have cash. So we said, how do we pay you people? So now, over 1,200 or 300 now have banks accounts. We saw an opportunity because and then we now created a value chain where their boys are now being POS. Okay? And then changing that money for their parents. Look, the ramification of the activities, what we normally call spillover effect, or how do we put it in intervention wall? People that have adopted and have done buy-in, people that are repairing motorbikes now, have increased in that community. People that are selling spare parts have increased in that community. So I don't want to talk about the spill effect. We call it expansion effect. The expansion effect is multiple. But what I'm counting now is the direct money that went to the milk producers and the aggregators. I'm not talking of that ripple effect. Okay, well, dairy medicine, can you hear me, please?
Yeah,
Yes,
move
sir.
on. Right on, sir.
Okay, let me just rush dairy
No,
medicine.
don't
It's quite a
rush.
huge
Don't
topic.
rush.
Most of
Please,
us
don't rush.
Okay.
Don't rush. This thing is in YouTube. It's in YouTube. Don't rush.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now, dairy medicine, as I tell you, is quite a huge topic, but I try to now compress it to drill down to what I am currently doing in the field. Okay? In dairy, as I tell you, like any other thing, it's better you prevent than allow that disease to creep in. Because the good thing with dairy, if it starts giving you milk, it gives you milk for over 300 days. Daily, you'll be making income. So if you play with anything and get to the extent of therapeutic treatment, you will lose that income. And that is why I always come up with a heart health plan, draw up preventive plan to ensure the disease does not creep in, so that you can continue to be making cool, sustained money by sleeping at home. You just branching, ensure the feeding is done, and then you just be hearing tap, 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 a lot money. So please ensure you focus on prophylactic than therapeutic. And that's why we try as much as possible to limit the use of drugs in lactating and pregnant animals. Because if the disease is creeping, I want to treat some of these drugs have a withdrawal period of 2 weeks. I can't sell that milk because the off-taker cannot use that milk. They can detect it with, there are better technologies now. We call it beta-lactam test. It's a street test. Within 8 minutes, if a milk has antibiotics, they will see it. Do I want to go to that extent? No. So I will ensure my heart health protocol, it's robust. We've done that. We build that capacity on this pastoralist. Okay. Then the disease aspect. One of the greatest things that can finish you is mastitis, and we call it subclinical mastitis. And the good thing, there are diagnostic tools to get to know that subclinical mastitis, where we use the California mastitis test kits. Most of us know that. Once a while, you do that to get to know, because subclinical mastitis is deadly. It will stop the milk production, It will be reducing it gradually, you wouldn't know. Okay? And the animal will be eating. You'll be losing money. If the animal has potential to give you 20 or 15 liters, it will come back to by 50%. And she's eating the food. So you're losing money. So that is why at every point in time, we always use the CMT test to ensure the CMT test captures the somatic cells count. You know, once there's mastitis, there's a lot of inflammatory activities. So, and the neutrophils get in there. So this calciform mastitis test is measured somatic cells count because of the activity that is taking place. Another disaster is FMD. FMD can stop the lactation of that animal. And before that lactation will come back, it will take a hell. It's like your poultry business. I'm not a poultry man, but I can tell you this does a lot of havoc. But thank God now, I think because when I was managing Farm Fresh and when I was managing a lot of big dairy farms, I used to import these vaccines from Botswana. I think 0A-SAT2, these are the variants. Thank God, I remember Prof. Kaito said in the field now some variants are coming out. So we need to watch out for that. And initially, when I was into real active practicing, the outbreak of FMD starts around mostly September, sometimes October, November, December, January, February. But now it's rampant. It's rampant. Okay, so and sometimes you think, okay, if the animal comes down with FMD around November, it's gone. We've seen cases of reinfection. If it comes around January, February again, that condition comes in. Okay, so what am I saying? Always get your qualified vet doctors to be involved. LSD, it's extremely common now. Lumpy skin disease. It's a viral disease. The Fulanis call it Giwen Kilichi. It can hit any lactating animal and reduce production. So please, you have to be careful with those. We've said a lot about CPPP. CPPP is rampaging animals. We need to do something as a government. I'm telling you, because I'm in the field, I've seen cases. It is getting serious. And this can reduce the projection of the milk production. We are saying that we can reduce it drastically if we don't do something. Tuberculosis is there. It's so common in dairy animals because, you know, if lactating animals at a point, if it doesn't have good feed, it gets immunodepressed and they get prone and susceptible to tuberculosis. Sometimes you open 5 to 10 lactating animals, you see 2 with tuberculosis, 2, 3. It's common, even in overseas. Okay, especially in South Africa, where I do a lot of livestock activity. We've seen that. Foot rot is there. I'm just telling you the diseases that are common in the field that we're experiencing in both dairy farms and pastoralist enclave. Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Okay. Then the Baba, I call it the Baba. I'm serious. On exotic and F1 animals is caldrosis. This is an animal that creeps in like a disease that creeps in like a thief. It is the #1 killer of exotic animals and F1, especially those that you don't have good tick control. A healthy animal in the morning, by evening, she's down. Within some hours, she's gone. And that is why I tell people, don't joke with your tick control. It's caused by a tick called Amblyomma variegatum. And I think that tick, it's prevalent in Nigeria. It's endemic and it's prevalent. Okay, especially those raising dairy farms in the southwest, southeast. It kills. It kills. It kills. Please, whatever you do, if you want, have F1 and exotic animals, and some of them you do semi-intensive grazing, watch out for caldrosis. If not, it will clear your stock. It will clear it, I'm telling you. So watch out for that. And if it gets in, sometimes it's irreversible because it affects the brain cells, create inflammation. Okay, there are some treatment that I got in South Africa. I can't put it here. That is working. So maybe those that are serious, we can discuss that with them. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. The slide is gone, so let me use my screen to do the presentation. Then the next one, is it back?
No. Continue.
Okay. Then the next one is calf pneumonia and diarrhea. This one kills calves. Like
no, it's back. It's back. It's back.
Okay. Okay. I think a month ago I lost 2 calves. I felt very bad because these are good quality hyper calves because of calf pneumonia and diarrhea. Sometimes this diarrhea, most often we think is disease induced. It's not disease induced. It's milk. So when it comes in, if it's the diarrhea, immediately I just stop the milk production. There are protocols we use. I don't need to go into details here on that. It's common, especially both the modern dairy farms.
You're talking about calf's cow. Yeah?
Yes.
You're talking about the calf's cow.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking. Okay. Some might not be due to infection. Okay. You might be treating with infection, trying to manage it. It won't work. The milk it takes sometimes, especially in modern dairy farms, sometimes you take the milk, you go and keep it, you won't go and feed the cows immediately. The milk get cold. What I normally advise, before you go and give that cow, please go and warm that milk again, because the milk mimics the body temperature of the mother, sometimes 24, 25 degrees centigrade. Now, if the milk goes beyond maybe 20, 18, you go and give that cow, you have disaster. Okay, so you'll be treating for infection and this, it won't respond. So what we normally advise is withdraw that milk, go on ORT, go on intensive glucose, go on a lot of things, and then gradually bring back that milk. Sometimes we use activated charcoal. It got to a point I tried, there's this medicine in humans, Imodium. It works. Hello, I think we know Imodium.
Yeah, Imodium.
Works very well on calves. Works very, very well. It arrests that diarrhea, and then you keep on beefing it with what do you call it? ORT subcutaneously.
Just a minute. Anderson Haruna will address your question.
Okay.
We are articulating questions
on that.
Ayok a bit.
Yes.
Just let me to be guide these people answering. We are jotting down your questions and we're throwing it to him at the end of this. So don't worry. You are in the right spot. Continue, Celestine, sir.
Okay, so we have pasteurelliasis is common with the pastoralists because of especially the Fadama distance. So we know that trips, of recent trips is creating problem from the pastoralist enclave. Now we've seen that. So all these things we need to be watchful. As I told you, dairy medicine is quite large, but I try to drill down to what is obtainable in the field. That's the health component. Now let's look at the management component to complement and increase reproductive performance in dairy medicine. Reproduction, breeding component, AI, pregnancy diagnosis, retained placenta is common, especially if you don't do good feeding. How do you handle retained placenta? Normally, I would say go and meet a vet. Dystocia, sometimes, very often, you hardly see it in the pastoralist enclave. But one thing I can tell you, these pastoralists, they know a lot about how to handle retained placenta and manage dystocia. You'll be amazed, I'm telling you. You see, what I tell people, some of these are our young vets, please, when you go to the field, don't look down upon them. Learn from them. They are doing what they are doing, but they don't know the scientific and theoretical background of what they are doing or why they are doing it. You as a vet, you now see how they do it. You now walk backward and link it to the scientific and theoretical background of why they are doing what you are doing. You now become ahead of them. I have learned that a lot. I have learned about this from small pastoralist boys. Look, ask them questions. You will learn a lot from them on how they manage some of these things. Look, dairy medicine is huge. That's why I said, when Dr. Ibe suggested that, I laughed. I said, let me just try and look at what we are doing. The comfort can affect the entirety of the animal welfare. I stop them now. Before, they used to beat the animal when they want to go and milk it. I say, please don't beat that animal. If you beat that animal, she releases, there's this, what is this flight hormone? Instead of releasing oxytocin, she releases flight hormone, and then the milk, and when they stop, they gently push that animal to where they are going to milk it. The environment is clean. The milk production went up with about 0.5 liters. Okay, so how you handle that animal, the environment, before you go and milk it, it's not just the medicine. It's not just drop. Okay, it's psychological. That's why there's a book I read about animal psychology. I tell you, they have a psychology. You need to go in and understand. And that's what we call cow signals. There's a book, Cow Signals. That book, if you read that book, it tells you a lot about the management component in dairy medicine. Okay? Then we talked about the milk quality. That's why I say I don't want to go to the, if we go to, there are a lot of things I can say here again on how you can handle that. Then the milk quality, I've spoken about the CMT test. I've spoken about alcohol test. I've spoken about the clot on boiling test. This is easy. Sometimes if you don't have the alcohol, we normally use clot on boiling. If you want to know how good a milk is, just get a teaspoon, okay? Fetch that milk, get a warm, a fire source, or if you have a candle, heat that milk. If you start boiling, if the milk is good, fine. If you start chalating, that milk is bad, okay? So sometimes the aggregators might forget the alcohol, okay? Or on their way, it got broken, they lost part of it in a syringe or something. They now use clot on boiling test. The density test is key. The organoleptic test, all of us know what organoleptic test is. Your sensory, your smell, your eye, and all this. That was the first determinant to get to know whether that milk is of good quality. Even smell. Good quality milk has a specific smell. And then the result urine test is normally not done at the field. It's done at the bulking center where you aggregate that milk. It's so sensitive that all those other tests, sometimes a milk will pass alcohol test, it will pass COT test, but the result urine test, because it measures the bacterial activity that's in that milk. Okay, it's quite a good test too. I've said about the beta lactam test. So all these entails in dairy management component of the dairy medicine. Any change, any activity that is lacking here entirely affects, you might end up focusing on the health component and getting milk. Then if you have milk, you have to sell to make money. If you don't focus on this aspect, you're gonna have issues. Then we now come to the nutrition and mineral vitamin issues. As I said, I'm not going to talk much on this area. We know about milk fever. What condition do you do? We have acidosis, we have blood, we have ketosis. These diseases, they are common, especially in peri-urban and modern dairy farms. You hardly have cases of ketosis in the pastoralist enclave, but any animal that produces more and there's lack of energy because the body starts mobilizing fat content through that metabolic activity, you now have acetone bodies. This ketosis is deadly. It can reduce your milk production. Milk fever, we all know, is a magic. That's what makes some of us vet doctors, they say we are magicians. The good thing about milk fever is pathognomonic. You can't miss the signs. You can't miss the symptoms, okay? Then acidosis. We know what causes acidosis. What do you do? A lot, it depends. The bloat, is it free-floating bloat? Is it gas bloat? We know what to use. Sometimes sodium bicarbonate, sometimes propylene glycol. I don't need to go into the treatment regimen, okay?
No.
It's satisfying good vet doctors that knows about dairy medicine. It's not just every doctor, okay? You have to be in it to feel it, to understand it. Next slide. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah. Continue.
I have said a lot about dairy medicine. It's quite a big topic. I don't want to drill down. I have my academicians who say now and the rest. But me, is the practical component, what I see in the field, the solutions I derive to solve this problem. Sometimes you are in the field, you have to think of local solutions to solve some of this problem, and it works. I tell you, it works, okay? I'm daring in testing some of these drugs, and it worked for me, okay? I've done a lot. I give you one good example. There was a time when I was doing the Yola Nisal CBN farm that I built for them in Fufure, in Yola, okay? Then we were buying molasses, a drum of molasses for about 50, 60,000, and it got finished, and molasses was not available, okay? Yeah, I just, out of the box, I said, guys, what do we do? It was dry season. Our forage, our hay is poor. Our silage is almost finished. We need to add it with the hay to create sustained period so that by the time we start harvesting our silage, we have a longer period. If you have straw, you don't complement it, you mill it and complement it with molasses or sugar seed. You're just giving straw. It's just to fill the bulk. I now, because I'm a processor, I normally do sugar syrup. I now say, come on, guys, let's try this. Get me a drum, open the top, put 150 liters of water. Then sugar was about 19, 20,000. Get a bag of sugar, which is 50 kg. Pour that one bag of sugar into that 150 liters of water. Heat it, gently boil it, cool it down, and I had my own sugar syrup. I tell you, it was more palatable in terms of energy availability to that animal, and that was how I solved that problem. So look, when you get to the field, it speaks to you. Please and please, better listen. Next slide, please. Thank you all for listening. I hope my practical field experience must have impacted you. It's doable.
Celestine, we need you to move into more areas of practical training, experience, so that you can be able to enamor us the more. Honestly, I can't say much on how much we're so grateful to you for you to be able to program us this morning to badge into your experience. Your star points, he said, you have to be neat, feel it, and understand it. It looks like you were here when Fashional had his own lecture. I will send Fashional's lecture to you in YouTube so that you can watch. Fashional said you don't get experience in the classroom, you get it in the field. And another thing you said here is that when you get to the field, okay, I've said it, when it speaks to you, the field speaks to you. You know, these are words on the marble. And let me ask you one question here. But before then, there are some antibiotics that are zero withdrawal period. Example is one macrolide, tylavocin. It belongs to the macrolide family, like tylosine, erythromycin. I'm talking about, for those of you who are looking at withdrawal period and traces of it in the milk, you can get some antibiotics and antibacterial that has a zero withdrawal period. And then for the gut acting, you have some sulfonamides that are gut acting. They don't cross into the bloodstream. They only act at the gut. That is all about pharmacology. Instead of bringing in full animal, how about embryo? That is another area. Unfortunately, the person trained in embryo transfer died in the process. Major Pacha, the military sent him to Argentina after learning the game. He was bringing embryos from South Africa, from Argentina. Unfortunately, he died in the process. And we need some salient areas in our practice. And these are multi-billion and multi-trillion naira areas in our practice. Embryo transfer. And what have you to say about sheep and goat milk? Is it profitable? Is it of any economic dynamics?
Yes, it is, especially the goat. We imported Saanen goat for a client. I have normally, I wouldn't mention it, so we're trying that. But you know, the thing is that I think goat milk is more common around Sokoto axis and this. For commercial purpose, for now, I don't see us getting traction. But
Yeah, for now. Oh yeah, right. He has not been. You need to do an introspection into that area.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we are hearing you.
Okay, it's the commercial company. You know, yeah, goat milk is good. It's rich. Everybody knows that, especially for cheese. It's soft. It's quite rich. Okay, and in terms of cost per liter, which I normally say the feed cost per liter, it is cheaper. And you know, one good thing with goats, they are one of the best fiber digesters you can think of. That's why I tell people, when you see a goat, the ribs coming out, then you know it has gone bad. Because during dry season, you see goats, their body conditions still look. So the little they take, they digest it. Okay, so you have goats, Sana now giving you 3 liters. Okay, what quantity do you feed them? Next to nothing. So in terms of cost per liter, I think it's something we can watch because it will create more income because it's cheaper for that person raising that goat to get value. And you can keep plenty because the feeding cost is less for that person. So yeah, I think it's something we should watch out. With this new ministry, I think it's something we can explore too. And I hope with the approval of dairy policy,
let's see whether Husseina has something. Let's see whether Husseina has something to say. Husseina, please.
That's our area of. Go ahead.
Yes, Husseina, please, can you unmute yourself and pep up the talk?
Thank you very much, presenter and the Bluebird Television. I just want to say that what Dr. Ayok has done is intended with what we have been saying all this while. Let me give you some figures as far as dairy development is concerned in Nigeria. We already know that most of the population of the herd we have are comprised of mainly adults. So 50% of the herd we have in Nigeria are adult animals. And within that 50, Dr. Ayer, you will agree with me that about 64% of them are females.
Yes.
Going by that, it's obvious then some of these females, if you divide another 50, because you have some of them keeping replacement animals and some of them milking, it's possible to have, out of our 19 million cows, if you have 50% of them, you are talking about 8 million. There are about 5 million cows will be lactating. Even if it is at just 0.5 liters per day. If we do the maths, if we are doing what Dr. Ayok is doing, we can be raking in close to 2 million liters daily. Am I right?
Yes.
We have not done anything as far as crossing is concerned. All we are doing is looking at what is on the field. So at least, even if we don't do anything, we pick up what Dr. Ayok is doing, we should be able to bring in 2 million liters of milk per day. Another thing that he's doing is the same feed, improving feed to the livestock. One thing we've noticed, during the dry season, the milk production is
Sorry, Abese, stop sharing, Abese. Continue,
Yeah, during the dry season, milk production is at its lowest, but immediately the rains come on, you can get up to 300% increase. That is what Dr. Ayok is doing in the field by improving livestock feed, pastures, supplements, because once you do that, even without crossing, you are going to move productivity by 30%, 300%. So imagine us moving 2 million by just improving feed. We are coming back to 6 million liters per day. So those are the figures that we have. So therefore, apart from feed, apart from the season of the year, breed improvement, like he has said, in NAPRI, we have seen that 500% increase you can get from just crossing. We have crossed right up to like 75% crossing, and that is when we get up to 500% increase. Milk production moving from 3 liters to like 15 liters of milk. These are things that Dr. Ayok is already doing on the farm with the new ministries and people that are seated here or listening to us. There are areas that can immediately be harnessed to change the innovations, to change what we have on the field, and rake in and bring in more milk than we are having now. Let me go to what you have asked in the area of goat milk. Our goats, like we know, are not real milkers. We have gotten maximum from our breed of goats, 1 liter of milk. But the good thing about it is, like you have said, once you look at the cost per liter and the fact that these animals, in fact, I call them the resilient livestock going forward, because these are animals that are very resilient, and with the climate change, that's where we should start looking at, especially in the rural livelihood. With goat milk, you can get production, you can reduce production cost, because based on liter of production, you get cheaper cost of production per liter. However, our goats will require a bit of selection, crossing. It's a long way from here. But with crossing, we have also increased productivity. What we have in NAPRI now, we have tried to cross within the 3 breeds of goats we have. And we have seen at the beginning, from birth weight and weaning weight, we have moved that indices by over 150%. So going forward, we are looking at that to see, we call it two-way crossing. The third crossing will be to include the foreign genotype. We have included a foreign genotype for beef or for meat. And with the 3-way crossing, we have increased the indices from that even 150, we have also increased it to about 200%. So what am I saying? Even within our breed, if we can do selection and crossing within our indigenous breeds, we can have increase in productivity. But it's a longer way to go. So our embryo transfer comes to bear. There's already somebody that is into embryo transfer in Nigeria. It's private and is running both embryo transfer and artificial insemination. So it's a technology that is already in Nigeria for anybody that is willing to uptake it into the system. And I know that there are other people that are coming with embryo transfer.
Who is disturbing us, please? Please. Okay.
So there are other people, that are coming in. There's a big project that is on ground, and I know that some people are already talking with South Africans that have these innovations and techniques to improve and increase the livelihood. Because going forward, there's no way with the production systems we have, we'll be able to cater for the increasing
demand.
The increasing demand. Apart from the fact that a lot of people are going into having better livelihood, there's also the issue of increasing population in Nigeria, 450 and counting by the year 2050. My question now to the presenter is, what they are doing in Ladoga, we need to push it beyond Ladoga, because there are this group of people that believe we should allow the Fulani man to continue herding from Sokoto to Port Harcourt. It's not going to work. Because, let me give you one of the indices we have. By July, by now, if you go into the pastures, the crude protein content of what you have is beginning to decline. It's just like you planting vegetable in your farm. Let's say you planted spinach. You don't cut that spinach. By the time it passes its maturity, what happens? The fiber content of that increases and decreases the protein content. So by July, most of what is on the field is chaff. Would we continue allowing our livestock moving from one place to the other to eat chaff? The answer is to bring in pasture and pasture production in the system. How we are going to do it, I don't know. Because as the population is increasing, so will be the demand for housing. Now, if you look at what is happening in Europe, what they are doing is just like you are going in your housing unit, you are going upstairs by building, story building. They are saying that we should increase the biomass using trees. For us, it is very important to do that because apart from increasing the biomass, it will also help us in curtailing climate shocks, especially in our northern region. Can you imagine if Niger is beginning to start planting some shrubs and grasses and small herbs, small shrubs for livestock? Why wouldn't states like Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara try to adopt use of biomass, use of trees, livestock trees, edible trees, and fruit trees to increase biomass? Because pastures we work, but with the rising population, we have to move up. We have to get the story building up. And the story building, as far as biomass productivity is concerned, is trees. I know recently FAO is even bringing Professor Fashina, correct me if I'm wrong, they are using Lucina to do this concept I'm talking about. In farms, they plant Lucina in the farm and even in houses, around the houses, so that it is being harvested for livestock because it's usually evergreen. And so during the dry season, it will still be available for consumption of livestock. Dr. Ayok, thank you very much.
Before we take on questions, Professor Fashina, you made a point and referred to Fashina. Professor Fashina is here. Professor Fashina, can you throw light on this? Is this still here? Fashina, unmute yourself. If you have a point to add to what Usina just said. Professor Fashina.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he said, Usina said something on FAO. Maybe she can repeat it if you didn't hear it.
What I said is that what they are advising us to do is to use trees, further trees, to increase biomass. Because going forward, like we all know, pastures are good, but with increasing human population, where in Nigeria, the land is not increasing anyway, and you're going to double in the next 27 years, you double, it means that what we are now using to feed livestock may be required for housing.
Yes.
Hence,
yeah, you're very right, Prof. And it's actually part of a comprehensive plan. You know, the issue of climate smart agriculture is coming in, and it's a whole comprehensive lot, like what you talk about now, planting trees and using it. For example, trees like Gliricidia, we know is very beneficial and proteinaceous for animal, and a number of other incentives. I also thinking of a mixed type of livestock and cropping system, and a number of other incentives. For example, even the livelihood changes. For example, in places where previously they raised cattle alone, now they are encouraging them to raise cattle mixed with camel, or to begin to transition into camel due to environmental changes. For example, this is already happening in some places in East Africa. For instance, the northern counties in Kenya, for example, some of them are doing away with cattle raising now and changing to camel. So it's a part of the whole comprehensive plan, like what you said, planting trees, Even there are evidences now, even poultry farms now around the southwest Nigeria now, they are now planting trees around the farm to reduce the issue of heat stress. So these are part of a comprehensive transitioning of our agri and agri productivity towards the future, because as you say, urbanization will continue to increase, land will continue to be limited. So if you want to do ruminant medicine or ruminant production, you have to be smart going forward. You cannot afford to do it the way we used to do it. You can imagine, for example, we talk of, regularly we have issues of pastoral and what brings
you are cracking. You are cracking. You are cracking. You are cracking.
Like the heartland of Abuja, we'll say used to be a trek route, which is not feasible again. So we have to think of very many smart ways to be able to keep our ruminants and keep them alongside other systems and changes that we are having.
Yeah, I think the best way to do is, as you are looking at the yield of the product of animal, be looking at the yield of the product of the pastures and the grasses. That's what somebody is saying, an integrated soil crop livestock production system. Yeah. So anyway, Ayok, someone asked where to get the video. We're online, we're on YouTube, and we're going to post the YouTube video in all the veterinary platforms we're able to get at, but before the end of tomorrow. Professor Ibokwe, he answered your question. He has answered your question. On a solid note, we have some of our eggheads there. We mentioned Professor Fashinai has spoken. We know Celestine Ayok, our chief egghead today, Professor Hussein Makun. The moderator, she's done well. We have the DVS of Kaduna State, Dr. Pakash here. We have Professor Usman Musa from, is a professor of avian medicine at Otman Danfodio University. We have my Oga Professor Ibokwe, Ikechukwu Ibokwe. These are our big heads here. Please, if I don't spot you right, know that it's maybe you are using Infinix this, Infinix that, Infinix this. Is there any other question as we start rounding up so that we can?
Yeah. I have one question.
Okay.
Okay. I know the last time I was in South Africa, we planted those trees. We planted Lucena.
Who is speaking now? Who is speaking now?
Dr. Ayok. It's Dr. Ayok.
Okay.
Yeah, we planted Lucena Lucasafala in the modern dairy farm. We planted Euricidia septum too. But the question that crops my mind, okay, is, which I think you, the experts in the academics, can help me question. Sometimes, to what extent does these trees affect underground water? Okay, because some of these trees are guzzlers of underground water. Okay, now compare some of these trees as guzzlers of underground water, and then the yield that you can get from that tree, and then compare it to maybe planting a swat of pasture. I can understand you are talking of the land issue. Planting a swat of pasture that is maybe half a hectare. I don't know, I'm just giving an example. As I said, I'm a field man. Okay, so in as much as we are trying to propagate some of these trees, we have to be mindful of, because during the dry season, they go down deep to get water to maintain that breed. So we have to try to create a balance in the way we propagate those trees that are guzzlers of underground water, vis-a-vis maintaining some reasonable quantities of those trees to serve as a stopgap for fodder. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Demo Kala is raising his hand. Can you unmute yourself and then maybe you pass your comment or ask your question? Professor Demo Kala. Professor Demo Kala, over to you. You have the floor. Has he gone?
No, he's still there.
Unmute yourself, sir.
Okay,
Prof,
thank you. Hello.
Prof, where are you lecturing?
Abubakar Tafabala University in Bauchi.
Okay, Barry TBO, you're
Let
welcome.
let me introduce Dr. Kala. Professor
Okay,
Kala.
please.
Professor Kala is with ATB Bauchi, and he has worked extensively in the area of pasture. Presently, let me release it to you that he's a member of the livestock, the present livestock committee we have. That's the JEGA committee, not the INEC committee, the livestock committee on JEGA.
Okay. So, Professor Kala, please, were you here when we started?
Well, I started midway, but then, I just wanted to respond to the conversation that my brother, Celestine Ayok raised about agroforestry.
Okay.
And to say that, actually, in the actual sense of it, agroforestry is not that we should do it on a full scale, but we could use it as live fencing within, within the farms. Even if you remember very well, during the ILCA days, the use of Lucina as part of the early cropping was such that, you had it interspaced, with other crops, and, so that you have an integration between both crop, livestock, and then, the renewable nitrogen that you are likely to get from crops like Lucina and other leguminous plants, that are there. But we need to look also beyond that, to look at some non-conventional, legume trees like Acacia albida, as is Fabidia now, as they call it, but previously, Acacia albida, that would give you, the pods in the dry season, and then we renew the soil fertility of the areas. I think the whole lot activity going on, in the crop livestock integration, as in response to climate change. And like Fashina has
Unmute yourself. You muted unmute yourself. Prof, unmute yourself.
in addressing some of the circumstances, because, for instance, while the camels are browsers, at a higher level, goats can browse at a lower level, and then you have, per unit area, higher output than what currently we have on a rangeland. Thank you.
Yeah, Professor Kala, there are some issues, though it came late after when this livestock resources was about to mention. Livestock, and you are part of the JEGAS committee. Please, we've been talking with you. When I raised the issue with the Minister of State for Agriculture, he said, it's coming late, but it's a very good thing to think about. There are a hell of difference between animal resources and livestock resources. And in animal resources, there are a lot of many other areas. Livestock resources is a limiting, it's a self-limiting appellation. When you discuss about animal resources, it brings in a lot. Areas that are not, animals are good, but not in livestock. So that is it. Then another thing is, in this our discussion.
Can I respond? Can I respond?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, the committee, the overview of the committee is not livestock as it is previously defined. It is defined livestock as, based on FOA definition, that any terrestrial animal that is used for food is classified now as livestock. That's the new definition for livestock.
Yeah.
So in saying that livestock is not referring to the traditional livestock form, so poultry is involved. And
no, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm talking about you use animal. I was talking about animal resources.
Yes, sir.
Like the wild and game park animals.
Yes,
They're
sir.
not livestock animals.
No, they're not.
Yeah, I'm talking about animal. That's a part of tourism. I'm talking about animals you use for security. They're not livestock.
They're not, sir.
I'm talking about animals that can give us infection.
Yes,
that area is not livestock. So what I'm trying to aggregate here is that there are a lot of opportunities in expanding the ministry. Instead of Ministry of Animal Livestock Resources, it becomes Animal Resources, whereby you even include the livestock resources.
Yeah, this is noted. This is highly noted.
Yes, because when I read, there was this ministerial meeting.
Yeah, can I give you a call after this meeting at some point?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You call me. Hello?
I'm sure I
Unmute
get your number from Ayok.
Yeah, get my number from Ayok or Hussein.
Yeah.
You can't call me directly because I'm in United Kingdom, but you can
No
call my
problem.
WhatsApp.
Yes, I use your WhatsApp, sir.
Yeah, please. Are you the former executive director of NAPRI?
No, sir. Just coincidence of names.
Okay,
Oh,
okay. So please, there are a lot of things we need to sort out at the fundamental because we get it right now. This new ministry will get it right along the way, not to start getting it right at the end. So there are fundamentals we must get right now. Now, the Air Force are using animal. The military are using animal. The police has been using animal because we need animals guided security now. I'm surprised that Ayok is not adding animal security in his operation. But anyway, because that the comfort zone is 100%. But if not, there's animal guided security. You can use animal to sniff out ammunition. You can use animal to fight terrorism. You can use animal to fight to fight kidnappers, armed robbers. You can use animal. There are a lot of things you can aggregate together as animal resources. Then livestock resources is part of animal resources. But the animal resources is not only livestock resources. So this is the area we are talking about. So give me a shout. We'll get down to it. Oh, thank you very much. Another thing is who again has a point to raise so that we can move on. Then Anderson said how he can partner with you to develop his dairy project. He has a dairy project. Anderson, I don't know whether you have his number or whether you belong to any of our group so you can reach Celestine Ayok. Where is Anderson? Where can you help? Because we need, as we are doing this, we need really to get down to the downstream. It's not to talk on the surface. I'm seeing Professor Agnes Wanena, and I think I saw Caleb. Yes, later I saw Caleb Kudi after the people I introduced. And now I'm introducing Professor Demokala to our entire package. So that's so how Anderson can get in touch with Anderson. I don't know where you are. Where are you based? Can you speak? Haruna Anderson.
Okay, there's another question from Dr. Veterinary Adeni. He asks, please, is there space for intern, vet students, and graduates to understudy within your dairy setup? Please, your email address. Egbetade AOE, call vet, FUNAB.
Yeah, Egbetade, I will link you to Celestine. I know you, so don't worry. Egbetade, I can link you to Celestine Ayok. Just send me a chat. I'll link you. But at Anderson, I don't know you. Haruna Anderson. I don't want to lose you. Because we need to guide you based on the questions you're asking. You want to have a partnership program with him, maybe the big extent, maybe little extent. And that's the idea of having this program is to bring people together under the same banner, under the same roof. How can we badge into the multi-trillion animal resources space? That's all. And then we raise our hands up. And then we have our YouTube channel. Anyway, we're going to publish some of these videos. We have close to 30 videos there on issues like this, 35 as at now. Is there a WhatsApp group for dairy veterinarians? No, there's no WhatsApp group for dairy veterinarians, but there are over 10 WhatsApp groups for veterinarians. As far as I know, I think I belong to 6. And Abose is sharing the YouTube channel where you can get all these. And then, or you can put blue, we can see my name. But if you look at my name, you can see as it is now, blue space, badge space, BTV.
You are with
Put it on search box of YouTube.
They cannot
Everything
charge you
about us. You see Celestine Ayok as in fact, the newest
cannot
one.
pay.
You have over 35 videos to watch. And we are coming next. In fact, next week we're going to do. Next week we're going to involve Oladosu, Professor Dr. Oladosu, who started his fish business experience, just like Ayok. He started it from Institute of Marine and Marine and Oceanography Institute, Lagos. From there, he navigated to UI, still on fish. He's a fish medicine expert and a fishery expert. He will come and discuss with us on that area. So we're looking for really people with proven practical experience to come here and address our minds, so that they will talk from the field and be able to guide us appropriately. So yeah, thank you very much. Are we calling a day? Any other person wants to make a comment, and then we'll go. Professor Wanana has a lot in phytohormones and has done a lot of research in phytohormones. You know, these are the people the agro-pastoralists are supposed to use hormones in pastures. And she has done a lot in it. I think I've seen some of her publications on it. So very insightful, Onoja. Thank you very much for all these your accolades. It gives us tenacity and temerity to do more. We'll be upping the game as time goes on. Just rest assured. We have a lot, in fact, in our vast, we have a lot of professionals we know, and we are bringing them one after the other. You can see the way we brought out Ayok and brought Mark Hussein. You can see the collaboration without even talking to themselves, because they've been in it, in and out of it. Oh, so thank you very, very much. Who again has from a younger person, can a younger person speak? Because you see, what we are trying to do is to bring old and young and break the walls, if there is any. There's no wall. The sky is the limit for everybody. Once you are out of school, you are close to interact with anybody at any level. That is the spirit we are trying to inculcate here. We don't have a war, and that's why I love Ahmadu Bello University. To be frank with you, first thing that surprised me in Ahmadu Bello University when I came to serve in 1987, I saw a restaurant where lecturers and students are eating together. After that, lecturer becomes a lecturer, student becomes it. These things has a lot to. I'm coming to that to do social engineering in this profession. It has a lot to break walls. If you train students to come out to be inferior, when they come out, they will be inferior. We're talking about dairy, then we're talking about another thing. Psychological war is a game changer in this world. Psychological war. The acting vice chancellor of University of Abuja is 40 years old. And if she has been inside a cocoon because she's young, she wouldn't have gotten to the level she has gotten to. Being in her research, in her project, in her PhD, in her professorship, she was moving within the dynamics of time, not limited by age or not limited by psychological exposure. And that's why at Ahmadu Bello University, honestly, who brought out that model? And when Professor Lombin was tinkering the teaching hospital in Jos, I warned her. I went there, I had a session with the students and lecturers. Don't teach these students on how to be inferior. I took that reference point from Ahmadu Bello University. Where it is a great feat on trying to make your students stand on their feet, that they can sit side by side with a professor and eat, and still their manners flow. A professor still remains a professor, a student remains a student. So part of our program here is for social economic engineering. It's not about cramming textbook on biology and on antibiotics. Yeah, Audo, who is a young vet, please unmute yourself so that it's not a big name. Okay, Audo, oh yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. I want to thank Dr. Ayok for the presentation. Some of us, the young vets that are in the dairy line, look up to him for guidance and his practical experience. I thank him very much for this presentation. But I have a question for the professor from NAPRI. So in my little experience—
Which one? Is it Kala? Is it Kala or Malcolm?
No, the professor, the woman from NAPRI.
Okay, oh, beautiful.
So I want to know what NAPRI has done so far in kind of developing our own indigenous dairy breed that we can call our own. Because it's not cheap for you to import animals. It's not cheap for you to do AI cross our local animals with exotic breed, either Jersey or Holstein. It's not. So if we can have like our own local, like a hybrid of our own, like how the Brazilians have Gerolando, so the East Africans have their own, we can have our own adapted breed that our smallholder farmers can easily get, adopt, and then the husbandry and all that is easier for them to maintain. Thank you.
Yeah, who's in Malcolm? Please give us a rundown on this. You've been in it.
I agree with the last speaker. Like you said, the Brazilian have worked on the Guilolando, and the Guilolando is giving close to like 18 liters of milk, even in tropical areas and more. And going forward with the issue of climate shocks and climate issues now, the best thing for any production system is to have animals that are indigenous to that area. You have also identified the fact that, I mean, crossing and importing the big animals like Dr. Ayok is doing, even the animal itself costs thousands and thousands of dollars to buy, not to talk of importing. The best thing for us to do is to have our own breed. Even if it is, I can tell you, even if it's just to select within the bocology, because the bocology, they are the ones that they can give you up to 5 liters of milk a day. That's the Sokoto Gudali. If we can select from just the Sokoto Gudali, go to the Adama Gudali, we can get animals even without crossing. However, to do that, it takes decades. NAPRI has not done or does not have, and I agree with you, Dr. Kala, Wadara is good. Wadara is very good. We have not done any breed development as far as dairy is concerned. With the new ministry now, I think that should be something that will be brought to the table and fast-tracked. And it is easy to do with all the technologies we have on ground.
Okay, let me.
Dr. Professor Kala, we get at that with you, and I'm going to take you on that statement you made. We have a definite program that we can focus and get funding for. We have them. So going forward, we can use the same methodologies that other areas have done and even use present innovations that are ongoing in the livestock subsector. One of it is we can use both AI, embryo transfer, molecular characterization, and biotechnology to fast track. Rather than you having to work on this thing for like 5 decades, you can reduce it to 10 decades, to 1 decade, I mean, 1, 2, maximum 2, you'll be up with it, because you'll be using techniques and technologies that will fast track your findings, because all it requires is for you to be able to see how much these animals are going to produce and how much they transfer hereditary to the next generation. NAPRI has not done it. NAPRI does not have it. However, the whole new ministry, and I'm taking Dr. Kala, Professor Kala, sorry, because of the other Dr. Kala, he was Dr. Kala for a long time before he became Prof too. But
doesn't make any difference, man.
Yes, I know. Me and you are on the same page. Prof is not important. So we'll take you on that for funding, because it's something that we can do. For that reason, NAPRI, in preparation, we didn't even know there's going to be a ministry like this, But in preparation for this, we have gotten a full-fledged artificial insemination and embryo transfer lab funded by the International Atomic Energy Agency. Is good to go. The only thing that we'll be looking for now is NEPA. Professor Kala, you are hearing me. The only thing now to get this thing on stream is to make sure that our energy is on and working. So we are good to go. We are ready. We can do it if we have the funding to continue. And when that happens, you will require, Professor Kala, correct me, you will require a large number of livestock. When you are doing the breeding work, you need a large number to start with. We do solar.
Kala is telling you to go solar.
I know now. I know. That's why I called it energy. I didn't say NEPA. I said energy. So we need a large number of livestock, a large population. Now, as I'm talking to you, the people that are in Abuja are telling us to reduce the number of animals we have in Napoli because they say they can't fund it. But we thank God that the ministry is up and coming, and we should be able to have something that we can run to keep those animals ongoing. Professor Kala, I'll take you on this. I know I have your number. So
is it okay? Please let me share something again. Can you hear me, please?
Loud and clear.
Yes,
you see, we, in as much as our animals are producing small, but we are not maximally utilizing their potential. I go to international forums, they say, Doctor, your animals are just giving 1 liter or 1.2 liter of milk. I say, yes, we milk them only once. If you milk that animal twice, you can double that. I've worked with Sokoto Gudali in Jamil Farm in 2002, 2003. They were grazing the same condition the Holstein Friesians were. 2 times milking, they were averaging 7 liters of milk per animal.
Absolutely.
I've worked with that. I've seen it. Okay? But what I'm trying to say is, first and foremost, the young vet, before we go that, what do we do to start milking these animals twice a day? Because we are not tapping the full potential. Others, when they roll out their statistics, we are producing 35 liters per animal. It's 2 times milking, sometimes 3 times. But ours is 1 time milking.
I want to stop your video. Stop your video.
Okay.
Anyway, this chart is very good, honestly. And this is very good.
So please, we are underreporting the potential of even our local animals because we are not milking them twice. We are milking them. Try milking your animals twice. That animal that is giving you 1-2 liters automatically will give you 4-5 liters.
So are you telling me now that on your Laduga farms, your farmers are milking twice a day?
No. Try to understand. What I'm just trying to tell you is when I was consulting for Jamil Yogurt, you remember now?
I know. What I'm saying is that,
try to understand my perspective, Dr. Osena, Professor Osena. Try exploring milking these animals 2 times a day. You get more. Because there's morning milk, there's evening milk. You might get 1 or 2 liters in the morning, you get 1 liter in the evening. So automatically the milk production has gone up. Don't forget the alveoli cells. The more you pull from it, the more you give it room to produce more milk. That is the secret of dairy. But we're milking our animals only once a day. And when we go to international fora, we now say Sokoto Godali gives just 4 animals. But I normally correct. I say, please, Sokoto Godali gives 4 liters, but single milking. So we need to add that. When we roll our statistic, we need to add that it's single milking. It's not 2 times milking. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Professor Kala, you can see we're agreeing on this focus that going forward, and since you're on that committee, going forward, we should start looking at Sokoto Gudali and Wadara, like you mentioned. Those are breeds. We have a project in Napri that we tried to look at them, but that was many years ago. That project did not continue. So it is something that we should now come back to the drawing table and look at particularly the Sokoto Budali and the Wadara. These are breeds of cattle that we can, going forward, quickly push them and see how they can operate in the dairy value chain. Selection to start with. We start by selection, and we have a lot of areas that we can work on. We can use just the open nucleus system to do our selection, but you know that would take a lot of money. Let the livestock ministry know that to do that, and to do that for every other species, i.e. sheep, that of goat, because everybody is now bringing boar goat, Sinai. At what cost can you carry your crossbred boar and slaughter it in the market and sell the meat at 2,000 naira? No. So we have to come back to the drawing board, like this last question was, look at these species of animals we have. What do we do to bring them to speed in developing a Nigerian breed? Everybody has done it. Brazil, India, they have all done it. We can do that. And we call upon that ministry to help us in doing that. Thank you.
That's okay. I think we are, at this point, we should be about to go. Thank you, everybody, for being patient with us, honestly. We were really patient. That will tell you how passionate this program. Yeah, we all need to be organized and sincere. Yeah, we will help you if you want. If we will help you, we'll give you more information because we're in the field. And I started my practice. Husseina knows how I started from the field. From the one, I've been in the field. And those in the field like us, like Ayok, we see a lot of things. But the only problem is that the policy mold does not involve us when they mold their policies. And there's a gap. And the time we start filling this gap, and that's what I talk about breaking the wall. I was surprised I was involved. I was for the first time invited for a ministerial committee on livestock development. For the first time in 37 years, I've been in private practice from day one. I had not worked for anybody. After my youth service, I started ambulatory, a pedestrian ambulator, to have trekking, have Okada, subsidized ambulatory, to where I am today. We have people in my art, we have seen a lot, and we're ready to offer information. So far as we can drive this livestock sector or animal resources sector, because the more we drive it, like I'm a marketer of products, contract from anybody or appointment from anybody. But if I give you information, you expand the animal resources base, people will buy my products because I'm a marketer of an input, and then I will gain from it. So that's it. If you don't gain directly, you can gain indirectly. So that's the thing. So please, that's the thing. Let us start breaking some of these walls. Like Ahmadu Bello University broke a wall, psychological wall between students and lecturers. You don't know what that in effect it has on the students, because they're coming out as near superior being. So that in the field, when they see somebody and a superior officer, they will not jitter because they'll be eating with superior officers in a restaurant. And I will tell you, Mrs. Lombin has put that model in the Jos University Teaching Hospital in Jos. There's a restaurant there where students and lecturers eat. It doesn't make you, does it make you not to be a lecturer? Or does it make you not to be a student? Has it made a student to be a professor? But you are breaking a lot of walls. Let us start as professionals, start breaking walls. We are all human beings created by God. Forget about opportunities. I don't give a damn to opportunities. You can even create opportunities where there is no opportunity. But the only thing is that you have to break psychological walls. Okay, on this note, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Professor Hussein Namakum. I forgot to say that when everybody left, Adeyanju left as the president. Obaja died, and you were the secretary. You took over the chairmanship of Kaduna MVMA. I forgot to say that for many years before we elected late Harun Yusuf. We've done well in this field. Honestly, we've done well. And anytime we reason together, you can see the effect of anytime we two of us reason together. Somebody say, Ochendo, like we discussed in Podaka, I need a place where I can learn artificial insemination. Well, NAPRI can give you a lot on artificial insemination. A lot. Professor Vo, Professor Peter, what's his name? Professor Peter, who's saying that? Professor Peter. Yes.
Peter
lot of people.
Professor Peter Report.
Yeah, Professor Peter Report. These are they can close their eyes and inseminate an animal. So we have a lot in this, but let's be together so that we can crack this. There's a wall we need to crack, a big wall. Like Musina said, the yield we are having will not be commensurate with the product,
We've lost him, right?
Yeah, I think his network is having issue. But, thank you all for
explosion.
He's back. Dr. Chasibe, your network is cracking.
Dr. Isa Abubakar, that was when I was on sabbatical, right?
Yeah, yes, exactly.
So where are you now?
I'm in Kano, ma. I'm working with a private organization as backward integration manager.
Okay, good to connect.
Thank you so much, ma.
Dr. Charles, unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Isa Abubakar, I hope your questions have been answered.
Yes.
Okay, good. We are good to go.